Hi everyone, and welcome to another marvelous video. Over the years, Marvel has expanded their concept of symbiotes to a new level. The ideas which were once restricted to Venom and Carnage have now created an endless list of symbiotes, some of which have not yet been revealed yet. In today's video, we will be talking about a new hybrid symbiote formed by the merging of Carnage and the Anti-Venom, which was eventually bonded to Peter Parker's friend from school, Liz Allan. It was introduced in 2023's ongoing comic miniseries titled Cult of Carnage Misery. So without any further delay, let us begin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Misery Symbiote Origin. The story of Elizabeth Liz Allan begins with Amazing Fantasy issue 15, released in June 1962. She was the daughter of Wilson Allan and an unnamed mother. Wilson eventually married Dorix Raxton, giving Liz a stepbrother, Mark Raxton. Throughout her life, she probably had one of the most turbulent love lives. At Midtown High, she was liked by both Peter and Flash Thompson, and she chose the latter as her boyfriend. Being with Flash, Liz grew insensitive and often ridiculed Peter, considering him to be a loser. But later, with growing age, she began liking him for his superior intelligence. However, things didn't work out, and she later married Harry Osborn. They even had a son whom they named Normie. Although they survived an attack from the Hobgoblin, all their happiness went to doom after Harry followed his father's path and became the Green Goblin, and later died. She became the head of Oscorp, which eventually made her life difficult. She was blackmailed into collaborating with the Life Foundation and the Friends of Humanity by Meridius, eventually making her do experiments on symbiotes to improve lives. This is the point from where the story leads into the creation of the new symbiote Misery. Written by Sabir Pirzada, Cult of Carnage Misery Issue 1 elaborates on the story of Liz Allan becoming the host of Misery. The issue begins with Liz lying on her bed, all alone, and recalling her good old days with her husband Harry. It has been quite some time, but she has not yet got over him. The next morning, she makes sure that all items belonging to the Green Goblin are removed from her house. These devices could discharge explosives and are certainly not safe for her son Normie and his half-brother Stanley. As Spearhead and the guardsmen of Alchemax carefully carried away all such belongings of Harry, Normie protested, believing these were his father's and should stay with them. He argued with his mother Liz, but soon realized after a pumpkin bomb popped out and was in the hands of young Stanley. Liz carefully managed to take it away from the child, following which Normie and Liz shared a tear stating how much they missed Harry. The scene then moves to Alchemax Lab, where Dr. Steven explains his progress on the symbiotes to Liz. He believed that the Carnage symbiote, despite its wild nature, has been the most promising one amongst the rest. It could perform cellular regeneration at a tremendously fast rate, but the only issue was that it killed nearly all sorts of foreign cells apart from itself. Liz asked if the Anti-Venom symbiote could tame Carnage too, which the doctor gave mixed reviews. He added that since the two variants tried destroying each other, the only way was to see how it worked after the two bonded onto a host, leading Liz to a cage of apes. Dr. Steven showed the results after he bonded the Carnage symbiote to one of the apes whom they named Grace. Grace bonded with the Carnage symbiote and kept stating that she was hungry, following which the doctor introduced the Anti-Venom symbiote. The results were again not fruitful, and the two symbiotes were shown to be fighting against each other. Grace fell asleep, and the doctor stated that they needed a stronger host to contain the two symbiotes together. Meanwhile, a former Alchemax guardsman, Corwin Jones, is shown to be contacted by someone unknown to obtain all the symbiotes from the Alchemax lab. The next day, during a meeting of the Alchemax headquarters, Liz is questioned about her heavy investments in Alchemax. She has been funding Alchemax under projects of the Research and Development Wing of Life Foundation, but is certainly hesitant to reveal her work. However, Carlton Drake, the head of Life Foundation, secretly tells Liz that he is completely aware of her work with the symbiotes and warns her that working with the symbiotes has always resulted in losses. Now, Carlton Drake previously had made several attempts to control, assess, and weaponize the symbiotes, only to fail and incur losses, and he was certainly not happy with Liz doing the same. He offers Liz to collaborate with him, which she simply denies. Liz next approached Dr. Zafar Hakim, a physicist, to help her in her research, to which he agreed. Meanwhile, Corwin Jones makes his way to the Alchemax building at night, which is under heavy surveillance by Spearhead and the guardsmen. Corwin takes them down and enters the lab, and he manages to secure all the symbiotes, except for the bonded Carnage and Anti-Venom, and leaves. The explosions at the lab injured Liz, following which he bonded herself with the combined symbiotes to become Misery. Although her appearance could scare the soul of any living being, she was completely in control of it. The two symbiotes kept destroying each other, but their regeneration factor was boosted to a high level after Liz became the host, and they seemed to be in complete harmony. The story moves on to the next issue, and while Liz and Dr. Steven discuss their next course of action, Grace arrives and attacks Liz. The chimp with the Carnage symbiote tore Liz in half, but thanks to the high regeneration of the symbiotes, Liz gets back to normal and takes down Grace, putting Grace back in her cage. Dr. Steven states that unlike for Grace, the symbiotes have no control over Liz's mind, and she has complete control over them. Taking note of the patterns of their recent attacks, they believe that it was one of their guardsmen and soon realize that it was none other than Corwin Jones. She makes her way to Chelsea Piers Marina, the registered address of Corwin, but she only finds a bunch of creepy dolls, which soon explode on her face, throwing her out into the waters. The scene then shifts to Corwin in an unknown location, where we get to see the man who has been conspiring with everything. It was none other than Carlton Drake, and he next fused all the stolen symbiotes into Corwin. Meanwhile, Liz makes an appointment with Dr. Zafar Hakim, but the latter makes romantic advances on Liz. When Liz denied reciprocating, Zafar left, leaving her to be all by herself. Dr. Steven and Liz plan their next move, and while Steven suggests sending a team to bring down Corwin, Liz suggests doing it all by herself. Next, we see Liz arrive at Corwin's apartment. She tries talking it out with the soldier, who is then resting on his bed and munching cookies. Liz stated that no matter what the odds were, she cared for her employees and wished to help them. It was evident that Corwin was dying from a disease and did not accept Carlton's offer for money. He was just trying to tie up the loose ends before his death. Liz clearly stated that she was not here as an angry CEO, but as a friend, and extended her help. However, things do not go that well. Corwin stated that while he raided the Alchemax building, he had rigged Dr. Steven's chair and had been hearing every conversation between Liz and him. He was completely aware of the symbiote he had missed and that it had bonded with Liz. Following this, Corwin brings in a new surprise. Carlton had bonded all the symbiotes stolen from Alchemax into one and bonded it with Corwin. As Corwin states that when Liz became Misery, it drove him to madness. All the four symbiotes, Toxin, Lasher, Scream, and Phage, emerged into one, and he becomes the new symbiote host known as Madness. Liz also transforms into Misery, and a fearsome battle begins. But the issue ends, and the outcome of it is yet to be revealed in the third issue of Cult of Carnage, Misery, which is to be released on the 26th of July 2023. So this was the origin of the Misery symbiote, and we can't wait for the release of the next 3 issues of the comic series. What makes Misery one of the deadliest symbiotes? Misery is one of the newest additions to the list of symbiotes in Marvel's universe, and surely holds the potential of being a significantly powerful and unique one. The symbiote is formed by the merging of two polar opposite symbiote strains, Anti-Venom and Carnage. Once bonded with Liz, they could exist together, destroying each other and regenerating themselves every second. Unlike the conventional symbiote and host bonding, Misery was in complete control of Liz, and its rage and aggression were solely that of Liz. She gained the conventional powers of the symbiote, like superhuman strength, stamina, speed, and durability. She could shapeshift and use her tendrils to cling onto buildings or swing across them. The regeneration capability of the symbiote was remarkable. When Grace arrived and literally tore Misery in half, she assembled her parts and joined them like nothing happened. One of her most unique abilities was shown to be phasing through solid objects. In Cult of Carnage Misery, issue 2, while swinging across the city, she hits a water tank and phases through it. We are left to know the potential of Misery in the subsequent issue, which would soon reveal other unique abilities of Misery. Marvelous verdict. So we have finally come to the end of your video, and we hope you like it. The ideas of symbiotes have been forever expanding. Venom Volume 5 introduced the complexities with Eddie Brock becoming the symbiote god, and now we have new symbiotes making their appearances. As mentioned earlier, there have been several strains of symbiotes that have not been significant as yet, while the newly merged symbiote is surely off to a good start. We are eager to learn about the conflict between Madness and Misery, which in the final pages of Cult of Carnage issue 2 has shown to be going against Misery. With this, we would like to conclude, and feel free to add your views in the comment sections. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next video.